Hello and welcome to this homework help video. Today we will be learning about identifying independent and dependent events. Okay, fantastic. All right, let's get started. So first, we need to know what the difference between an independent and dependent event is. So first, we have dependent events. Dependent events depend on what happened before, such as taking cards from a deck makes there be less cards per deck. Okay? Same kind of deal. You have a bag of marbles. If you take a marble out, that would be an event, and then you look for the taking out another marble. The second marble would be dependent on the first event because, say, you're trying to get a blue marble. When you took out the first marble, you have a greater chance the second time you pick to pull a blue marble because the ratio of blue marbles to total marbles is bigger, right? So you have a greater chance. Now, independent events are not affected by the previous events. Not effective, or not affected rather. So, what does this mean, right? So if we see here, it's talking about a coin. So if you toss a coin, right, and you land on heads, if you toss a coin again, the coin doesn't say to itself, oh, or the coin, because you flipped a coin, it doesn't say, oh, I landed on heads, right? So I'm going to be more likely to land on tails. No, it doesn't work like that. So these are independent. Returning to the marble idea, once you had picked that first marble, right, and it wasn't the color you wanted, wasn't blue, and you put that marble back into the bag of marbles and then picked again, the second pick would be independent because it wouldn't matter what the first marble was because you're still picking the same ratio blue to not blue out of the same number of marbles. Okay? So with that, let us look at this. So Nathan is spinning the spinner twice. Now, are these two events dependent or independent? Well, let's think about it for a moment. If we spin the spinner once, does the result from that spin change anything about the spinner? If, for say, or by perchance, the spinner lands on this yellow piece the first time, does anything happen to that yellow piece? Is that yellow piece removed? No, it's part of the spinner. So, it does not matter, right, what the first spin was when looking at the second spin. So, these two events are independent. Let's see if we're right, and we are. Okay, looking at this situation, Walter picks up a card at random and he puts it back. And then he picks another card at random. Are these two events dependent or independent? Again, let's think about it, okay? So let's say Walter picked the 4. That's a terrible circle. Let's say Walter picked the 4. He looks at it, he says, it's a nice 4, and then he puts it back. Does that change anything since it's being put back? No. Since the card is being put back, the two events, the two picking of the cards, are independent. Sandra and her brother take a numbered spinner from a board game and use it to determine who will get to play with their new puppy first. Sandra spins, and then her brother does. Are these two events dependent or independent? Well, we've already looked at spinners, and as in this case, it doesn't look like anything is happening to the spinner, right? Once between rounds, there's no change between spins. Thus, the spinner is independent. Excellent. So I'd like you to attempt this problem on your own. Once you have, well, you should pause it, attempt the problem on your own. And once you have figured it out, or you think you've figured it out, unpause the video uh, and we'll work through it. Okay? All right, hopefully you've done that. So, Monica picks a marble at random. Without putting the first marble back, she picks up a second marble at random. Are these two, excuse me, are these two events dependent or independent? So, remember at first, when we were first learning the difference between dependent and independent events, I gave the example of a bag of marbles. This is the essence of that example. So let's say she picks the first marble, and she picks this orange one. Okay. So now this orange one is gone. Right? It's been taken out of the bag. So now the chance of pulling the other green one has changed, right? Or just to pull an orange one in general, I should say. The chance of pulling the orange one in general has changed because there's less orange. Therefore, right, the events are dependent upon each other because as a marble is being taken out, the distribution in the bag of marble colors changes. You understand? All right, so let's click dependent and see if we are right. And we are. Fantastic. So as this video comes to a close, just remember, independent events are not affected by other events. Again, think flipping a coin, spinning a spinner. Dependent events, on the other hand, are affected by other events, such as the case we just saw. A marble bag, and then one of the marbles was removed, and then going back and picking a second marble. So just remember the difference between independent and dependent events, and it'll help you. All right, fantastic. See you next time.